Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Pros in Politics Podcast, where we are polished and poised for greatness and impact. My name is Kahala, and I'm your host. Well, of course, we are Pearls and Politics Podcast. We love to support and promote Black business and community and family and health and wellness, but we are politics as well. And today, a kind of political topic, but not completely like an elected position or anything like that, but very instrumental and very important in the legislative process, the topic of lobbying. Well, with us today is a friend of mine and a lobbyist, Mr. Kevin Riggs.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I felt that this was a very important topic in the grand scheme of the things that
Right.
we discuss. Because when people think politics or they think laws and legislation, they think Chris Belt, Latoya Greenwood.
Correct.
They think
Correct.
the governor and all these other things. But there are men and women
Yes.
on the ground doing many different things, right?
That's
and
correct.
lobbying is one of them.
Right.
And sometimes people think of that in a negative way. Sometimes people think of it in a positive way. So
That's
we
true.
want people to be informed on what lobbying really is
Okay.
and what a lobbyist really does.
Right.
So, but first, before you were all those things across many states,
Right.
ladies and gentlemen, you're Kevin. So please tell us about yourself.
Kevin Riggs, a native of East St. Louis. Grew up in the Edgemont neighborhood on 70th Street.
Okay, Edgemont.
So we went to Harding,
Okay.
King, and of course East Side. After that,
It's okay.
went to SIUE, transferred to SIU Carbondale, graduated from there. Got my start actually working in the Senate, staffing for Senator Claiborne, who was Chris Belt's predecessor. During that time period, I staffed all the community colleges, universities across the state during the budget season time. And then after the budget season was over with, I actually worked campaigns in Chicago. So I call that my baptism by fire.
By fire. Yes.
Yep. So, had a great time doing that, and then moved on to the United States Census Bureau, where I worked in Chicago, but primarily in Indiana, Wisconsin, Indiana. Had an opportunity to work on the Decennial 2000 count, was sent back to East St. Louis to close out the 2000 count.
Okay.
From East St. Louis to Champaign and Quincy, where I supervised roughly
a large area.
Exactly, like maybe 500 people, making sure that especially, towns like our community were exactly, counted and enumerated correctly. So we were able to get those federal additional funds that actually get awarded from based on the population that you come up with in those 10-year counts. Did that for a while, had been gone from the area for about 10 years and decided to stay at home. So I moved over to East West Gateway, the Regional Council of Governments, where I worked on the various policy issues here in the metro area, access to jobs, healthcare, transportation, so forth. I had a great time working there, ran one of the management departments for about 4 years. Then I moved over to the St. Louis Chamber of Commerce, where I was their chief lobbyist for about 7 years, representing companies that may be based in St. Louis, but had satellite offices in Illinois, say, for example, Enterprise Rent-A-Car,
Okay.
Boeing, Barnes Street Hospital, and so forth. Was there for about 7 years, and then moved over to Dent's Law Firm, where I ran their public policy practice for about 7 or 8 years in Illinois, pretty much doing the same thing. And about 6 years ago, decided to plant my own flag and start the Kevin Riggs Consulting Group. So been up and running for about 5 or 6 years now. It's been a great run, representing companies across the state, downstate, and so forth. Have had some opportunities to work in Georgia, Tennessee, and so forth. So it's a pretty good run.
I love it. So in addition to that, we always have to ask, because are you Greek?
I am. So me and your husband have something in common. It's Kappa Alpha Psi all the way. So definitely shout out to my fraternity, the East St. Louis chapter, the Belleville Fallon chapter, the Edwardsville Collinsville chapter, and as well with all the Divine Nine organizations as well.
Okay, so you are well established
I am.
in just the legislative landscape, as well as many other things. So that was an easy transition for you, because as I'm sitting here listening to all the things that you've done, I mean, you've done the census, you've worked on campaigns,
Right.
just so many things. So was that an easy transition for you?
It pretty much was. I would say I'm a creature of the Illinois State Senate. So having that opportunity to work in that environment at the beginning of my career gave me an opportunity to be exposed to everything. So everything else has been like a easy transition. And then this final step, the only thing I hadn't done was actually have my own company and work for myself. So it's been, a good transition. It's brought me, full circle, and I'm blessed that everything has worked out, pretty good.
Because we see each other a lot
We do.
when we're at work. And
We do.
it's really funny because
We do the capital wave.
Yes, yes. So obviously I'm not a lobbyist, but I am a legislative liaison, or should I say I was
Right.
a legislative liaison this session and before, but we move in those circles.
That's correct.
So again, that's why I'm saying it's so important for people to understand the big picture
Right.
on how it all fits together, because what you do impacts greatly the lives of people on a daily basis.
That's true.
And so a lot of people think that it's just the people that represent us, which it's very important,
Yeah.
right? It's an election year. We're going to get into all of that really, really soon. So tell us what a lobbyist is.
Right. So towns, private companies, not-for-profits, various public entities will reach out to me and talk to me about their issue, what they want to have done, or sometimes when it comes to a private company, not done. I then take that issue to legislators who have that similar interest, or it may relate to their specific district. Sit them down, talk to them about the issue, and basically give them the points and the information on how it could benefit their constituents and their districts. From there, we work together with staff to pull up a bill and write the bill that pretty much formulates what the client or the group wants. The senator or the legislator presents the bill to a specific committee. It then moves to the floor where it's debated and voted on. While this is going on, I'm the person behind the scene, trying to talk to 118 reps and 59 senators, trying to get everyone on board to vote for it and pass it favorably. So it's a lot that goes into that a lot of people really don't see. And as you said, some people are in favor of lobbyists like me. Some people kind of frown on it. I tend
Exactly.
to try to do great work and good things for good clients.
You do. And like I said, we see each other a lot.
We do.
So you are very busy and you are very engaged.
That's true.
So it's not an easy job. I deal with lobbyists pretty much on a daily or very consistent basis, particularly during session.
Right.
And like you said, some people see it good, some people don't, because at the end of the day, you are representing a client. You have
That's
a
true.
principal,
Right.
and this is what they want or what they don't
Right.
want, because a lot of people don't understand, like, it's hard to oppose a bill.
It is.
Right?
It is.
It's because that's their baby. That
Right.
senator or that rep, that's their baby. Like
Right.
their job, they are voted into office to
Right.
represent us and pass laws or not
Right.
pass laws
Right.
that are to be in the best interest
Right.
of the population.
Right.
And to sit down and have a conversation with a rep or a senator and say, about that bill.
I'm not with you this time.
I mean, I don't,
right.
It's
Yeah.
going to tear this down or
Right.
it's not going to be,
Yeah.
but it's always good when
Right.
it's the other way around,
Right,
when
yeah.
you can support that legislation.
Right.
And it's even better when, what you say, you wrote it.
Exactly.
Or you were working with your principal to come up with a
Right.
bill that's going to be in the best interest
Right.
of that particular organization or that particular community.
Right.
So what types of different things would a lobbyist work on? So is it just education? Is it just electrical or power? Like, what are the types, or what are the groupings that lobbyists, do you specialize in one particular area? How does that work?
So before I get into that, up front with working with different legislators in the Senate and in the House, I always try to rely on my relationships. My relationships,
That's key.
my work ethic, and then having some integrity. Because, once you get known as a lobbyist who does not keep their word, then
It's
nobody really
over.
wants to work with you and
It's
talk
over.
to you. So those three things I try to, hold close and always convey those, as well as in those initial conversations. I always start with, sometimes senator or rep, I'm going to be with you. Sometimes I'm not going to be with you. Based on my geography and where I'm at, I have to work with reps and senators on both sides of the aisle.
Absolutely.
I represent public clients. I represent private clients. So my issues would be, I'm kind of a hybrid. I'm kind of pretty much all over the place, which has allowed me to develop an expertise where I'm not pretty much pigeonholed into one
Awesome.
business sector and so forth. So I've worked with tax incentives, energy companies, tax credits and so forth, housing. I've done a little bit of everything over the years in my portfolio. I've been blessed to be able to do a lot. And that kind of goes back to my experience having the opportunity to work at the St. Louis Chamber of Commerce, where I was exposed to all these different companies all across the place in each business sector. And so often they would, reach out to the chamber and say, hey, we want to support, say, for example, Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We want to support a bill that favors our industry, as well as Boeing, which is aviation. So I've been fortunate to be able to do a little bit of everything.
And I think integrity, would you say integrity, keeping your word?
Keeping your word and your relationships.
And relationships.
Yep.
So relationships are critical
That's true.
because you can oppose a bill, but if there's the relationship, the person knows that you're not just
Doing it
some
to be doing it.
nasty
Right.
person that just likes to
Right.
be the ops,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And so,
Right.
but that's, again, you have to build that
Right.
relationship.
Right. And then that, and in that, expressing that the process. So in those conversations, when you actually are opposing a member's bill, you can have those conversations to come up with amendments that can be palatable to everyone, that can help negotiate the bill and
The
bring
middle
everybody
ground.
to a middle ground, a compromise, where both sides and both groups can live with it and pass something that works for everyone, where there are not, hard feelings, unintended consequences as a result.
So then after that would be the integrity that you spoke of.
That's true. That's true.
That is critical.
It is.
Because again, not being a person of your word and not having integrity, you turn into the person that when they see you coming down the hall,
They go the other way.
took the words right out of my mouth.
Right,
They're gonna hit
right.
that spin and turn the other way.
They take the elevators or they pull out their cell phone after they're talking to avoid
Yes,
you. Right.
yes, and you don't. No matter what you do for a living, right?
Right.
You don't want to be that
That's true.
person. And so, it's so critical to
Yeah.
operate with integrity in whatever it is that you do. So you're saying that you have been blessed to be able to work in many different areas. Are there lobbying firms that only do a specific type of work?
Some do. Some may just represent, a specific group of a private clientele where they could just do energy. Some may do specific tax
Education.
incentives
Yeah.
or education. Some may do just strictly, public organizations or not-for-profit organizations. With me, I've been able to do everything, so that makes me valuable. And, being downstate, it makes me more marketable as well.
I love it. I love it. So downstate, it's a smaller group of lobbyists downstate?
It is. For us being downstate, when it comes to lobbyists of color, we have two African-American female lobbyists that are downstate, and then I'm the only black male lobbyist downstate. It's been that way for a while.
Now, I know in many different areas of, professions and different things, representation really matters.
That's true.
Is it the same in lobbying?
It's very much so. Something that, I tried to convey to some of the local municipalities and non-for-profits and some private companies as well, in that, we have a saying in Springfield, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Absolutely.
So if you don't have somebody advocating for you, if you don't have boots on the ground, you will get taken advantage of. And what do I mean by that? Each year from January to May, all these different groups and lobbyists convene in Springfield to talk to legislators, to talk to state agencies, and to lobby the governor's office as well. And so if you are not there, you more than likely won't get funded. And it's not that they have something personally against you, but if they're not hearing from you, they don't know what your issues are, and you're not a part of their agenda, then you may get left out.
Yes, presence is very important.
It is.
I learned that. So this is my, let's see, 22, 20, my third session. and it was trial by fire.
Yep.
It was the fire hydrant. It was
I saw you. Yeah.
it was it was all of those things.
Right.
But I learned very quickly the importance of being present.
Right.
Your face being
You
in
have
the
to be there.
place. Oh, well, her agency's in the building
Right.
because, she's here. Because it's hard a lot of times to catch people on the phone.
Right, that's
or
true.
to get them to respond to
That's
a
true.
text. But if you're standing outside the chambers,
Right.
okay, then you can catch somebody.
Exactly.
And I had to learn that, right? Because I don't like I don't like people to surprise me. Don't come to my
Right.
house if you didn't call, right?
Right.
And so it's
Right.
kind of like that. But then they're like, no, actually, that's
Right.
how you're supposed to do
Yeah,
it. Like you're
yeah.
supposed to be out here waiting on
Yeah.
them. This is part of
So,
the process.
so you learn hurry up and wait. We hurry up and wait and get to the
Oh,
chamber doors
yes.
or to the hearing room doors. Then we wait.
Yes.
And we wait, we catch them, we come out, we have our fact sheets, and then, we go in our persuasion right there. We go right into it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I was amazed at how accommodating and pleasant they were. Because
yeah.
again, it's not always a great conversation,
Right.
Right? And I've tried to catch you and I didn't catch
Right.
you, and now I finally, and you're like, oh, there she is. You know,
Right.
and so
Right.
it's a very dynamic
Right.
kind of flow with that. And it's just amazing to watch
Right.
and to be a part of that process is very intriguing
Right.
because otherwise you just don't know.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you're whatever you do for a
Right.
living is not that, and you don't understand the whole legislative process and how much it impacts your day-to-day life.
Legislators, they want to be informed. That's both chambers on both sides of the aisle, no matter if they're freshmen, no matter if they've been there for 20 or 30 years. They want to be informed. They want the information. The last thing they want to do is support a bill, pass a bill, where 6 months down the line, there are unintended consequences. Then they have to come back either in the fall or the spring and make technical changes to clean it up, while at the same time, they're getting beat up in the grocery stores, on the internet, everywhere. They pick up their kids, they got to hear all that as well. So most of them want to get it right the first time.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I think that particularly in the current administration, there is the desire for people to work together.
That's true,
Because
yeah.
what did you say? It turns into those consequences.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
You thought it was going to work out,
Right.
but the person wasn't present,
Right.
or they didn't put in their slip, or they,
Right.
there wasn't the real communication
Right.
that should have been had. And then, like you said, there's the front page of the newspaper
Right.
because people's rights are violated because the statute said you're supposed to be
Exactly.
doing this, but it's not
Right.
getting done.
They end up in court,
Yeah. Yes.
then it has to come back.
Yes.
Then it's a whole different, then you have to file a whole new bill.
Yes.
You have to go through the process all back over again.
The AG's office
Right.
is very busy.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Exactly.
While at the
And-
same time, people's feelings are hurt, so emotions are running high.
Yes, they are.
You got all that tension,
Yes.
So it's best to, everybody wants to get, regardless if they're for it or against it, get it right the first time.
Absolutely. Because then there's the trailer bill
Right, yeah.
and all those other things. And again, a bunch of lifting that had there been communication on the
Right.
front end could have been avoided.
It's the key.
It is the key. So now that we've established what a lobbyist is and what they do, what additional framework of information would you want people to know about lobbying or anything legislatively?
Well, I think, for the most part, voters, citizens, so forth, don't be afraid to reach out to your legislators. You can look up the information on the internet, find out about them. You could send them emails to their offices. You could send them a letter as well. You can even try to call them. They may just call you back. But reach out to them, talk to them, and get to know them, because you are the voter, you are the taxpayer. You have a right, to voice your opinion. We could have civil discourse if we disagree. We could all do it civilly, as we should be doing.
Yes, as we discussed earlier. Absolutely.
On every different level, local, state, and federal. But try to establish those relationships with your legislators, and especially on a local level, because, all politics are local. And so your local elected officials can affect your daily life more on a daily basis, more than a federal person in Congress.
And I have tried for 2 years now on this platform to beat that
Right.
and beat it and beat it and beat it. Like people, I was blessed to always be on a presidential election cycle. And
right.
so that worked out well for me 3 times in a row.
Right.
But it's that off cycle.
Right.
That's not an off cycle
Right.
that we stress. It's not an off cycle.
Right.
It's the mayoral race. It's the
Right.
county race. It's your state rep and your state senator,
Right.
whatever cycle your senator is on. But people think, they think president. They think the most powerful person in the world.
Right.
And they think that what's going on in D.C. impacts them more than what's going on at the courthouse. And that's not true. What
totally
did you just
opposite,
say?
right.
It's completely
Opposite.
opposite.
Right. Yeah. We have to
Minimum
stay
wage
engaged. Yeah.
was raised here,
Right, that's true,
right?
yeah.
For people in Illinois, right?
Right.
There's just so many things.
Senator Kim Lightford from Chicago.
Exactly.
Right. Fought for that for years.
The period poverty bill,
Yeah.
okay, with Latoya Greenwood. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just so many things that, again, it's the daily in your community.
That's true.
And so we want people to, yes, we absolutely want you voting in November for the president. Okay, we
Right.
definitely need you there.
Definitely.
But we need you to go all the way down to the
Yeah,
bottom of
right,
that ticket.
exactly.
Because yes, they'll be at the top, but we need you all the way down for the county,
Right.
for your mayor, for the judges, for
Right.
retention,
For your schools,
for your schools.
Right.
Exactly. So all of those things are very important.
your property taxes.
Yes, and I was going to say yes, the schools, because
Right.
with 3 school-age children,
yeah.
right, that is something that's very important to me. And again, I think people don't even think, well, who's sitting on your school board? I don't
Right.
really know who's
Yeah.
sitting on the school board. I really don't care. I vote for the president and the governor, and then I push the submit button on my ballot.
Right.
No, that they are deciding what your children eat.
Yeah. The
What they
pothole that
learn.
you hit in your neighborhood, the parks in your neighborhood, all that's intertwined.
Absolutely.
And those things affect you more on a local level faster than what happens on the federal level. So you're right.
Yes, and so I think I appreciate you hammering that point
Mm-hmm.
in that we really need to pay attention and we really need to be present locally.
Stay engaged.
Yes.
Stay engaged. And you know this. A lot was given up to make sure that we have that right to vote. A lot of people who definitely look like us and didn't look like us sacrificed a lot, died, gave up a lot. So we need to always drill at home and exercise that right. All right, we need to do that all the time because there's always a lot at stake.
There is, and a lot of people always talk about what you have to gain.
Right.
I try to stress what you have to lose.
But you have to sustain. That's true.
There
Yeah.
is so much to lose.
Yeah.
As a woman,
That's true.
we've lost so much.
It's right in our face.
And there's so
Yeah.
much to lose. As communities of color, there's so much to lose. So a lot of times people are not motivated by what they have to gain because they're,
Right.
they're content or complacent or whatever. It's just like, oh, well, I'm okay.
Right.
Well, let's think about what you have to lose. Your voting rights,
That's true.
your right to choose.
Yeah.
Right? Where you want, and it starts somewhere, and then it's a slippery slope that turns into something else. Oh, we could never go back to them taking away your right to vote. And so many states, and they send up telling you got to have your COVID cards, your driver's license, your state ID, your passport. I'm exaggerating, but you all get my point. Like,
The process is happening now.
Yes.
It's already in motion. That's true.
but you have states like Illinois
Right.
where they make it so easy to
Correct.
vote.
Yeah.
But then now you have states where you can't even give people water when they're
Right.
standing in line. So
Georgia,
again,
yeah.
there's so much to lose. And if we don't pay attention, we're going to wake up one day
Yep.
and the election's going to be over.
That's true.
And somebody will be in office, and then it's going to be chaos and calamity, and then you're going to be upset about it. Oh, no, don't
Right,
get upset
yeah.
now. Oh, no.
Passive.
No, it's
Yeah,
too late to be
too
upset
passive
now.
about it. That's true.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I really appreciate that. But in terms of, well, as the airing of this episode,
Mm-hmm.
session is over. And we are glad, aren't we? We
Very
are
much so,
glad.
right.
It was amazing, and there's a budget and all those wonderful things. So now that session is over,
Mm-hmm.
what does the rest of your summer look like? What does it look like going into veto session? Because
Okay.
we're not there yet. We're breathing, right,
Right.
Kevin?
Right. We are.
Woosah, that's where we're at
Right,
right now. So
right.
what, now that session is over, what does that look like for a lobbyist?
Well, my schedule slows down a little, but for me specifically, some of the business groups that I represent, I have to go before them and give these legislative updates to their board of directors.
Makes sense.
To talk about how this budget and the policies that were passed will affect their business industry, as
that.
well as the clients that I represent. This year, I probably have over $40 million in the budget. So I have to stay on top of the agencies to
Get it,
make
sir.
sure that
Get it,
those
sir.
communities and organizations are getting their funds. And what I'm most proud of is that I'm at a point in my career right now, whereas I can represent those small municipalities and small organizations, a lot of them pro bono for free, and help them out as well, especially from the community that I come from. So I do a lot of going back and forth with the agencies, trying to make sure those small communities, not-for-profits, get what was promised to them, get what was actually passed in the budget, staying close to our local senator and some of our other local downstate delegation, and making sure that their projects get funded as well, trying to be as much assistance as possible. And then also, this year, this is campaigns.
It is.
So I've worked campaigns for more than 20 years. So in regards to Ms. LaToya Greenwood, I'll definitely be out there helping her and support her as well. We
Absolutely.
definitely want her to have that seat back.
Pounding the pavement,
Exactly.
doing everything, because we have
Exactly.
got to get her
Exactly.
back.
So
the
that would
Capitol.
be my number one priority this summer and this fall, is helping her out as much as possible.
Absolutely. Me too.
Yep.
Us too. She'll be on again and again.
Right.
She and Senator Belt, because my next, that's a little information. My next one will be both of them together.
Okay, great.
So we're trying to, but again,
Good team,
schedules.
good team.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We call ourselves Three the Hard Way.
Uh-huh.
And so we've always, because we used to, obviously run together.
Right.
And so they're like, well, just because you're not holding office no more, like, we still the Three the Hard
Right,
Way. That ain't
right.
gonna never change. So yes, Three the Hard Way will
Right.
be coming, and
Uh-huh.
that'll be good. But yes, that is absolutely the agenda
Right.
for November, is to get her back in office.
Good.
So that, I just love to hear that even after. Now, I hate that you're so busy, but I love to hear about the work afterwards, the debriefing,
Right.
the cleanup, well, it may not have worked out the way we wanted it this
Right.
time, but let's see what we can get done in veto. Like,
It's
let's
all-
see if we can get it done.
It's always fall veto. So fall veto, we get an opportunity to reset. And then sometimes in early January, they have what they call lame duck session.
Yes.
So you have 3 days.
Yeah.
You
It's a very
know,
short window, ladies and gentlemen.
to make it or break it. So you get another crack at it. And then also, with your relationships, you could also redraft your bill or hit the reset and work with your legislative sponsors and come back again in January. You may have to start the whole process over again, but sometimes it won't happen that first session. Sometimes it may take 2 sessions. Sometimes it may take 3. I've passed legislation for private banks for new markets tax credits, which was like $20 million. It didn't happen the first time,
Right.
but we passed it in the second session. So sometimes it may take more than a year or 2 to get it done, but through diligence, you stick with it.
Yes, I know. I've seen that personally, because sometimes something it doesn't pass, right, and you're like, okay, but then it comes back,
Right.
and you're like, but wait a minute.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah,
but
it'll
no,
come
but
back,
that is their job, right?
Right.
That's why they are elected, to
Right.
pass legislation that they believe is in the best interest of their communities.
That's true,
And
yeah.
so it's like you said, it's just about working together.
Right.
As is encouraged, to be able to say, okay, so this is why this doesn't work.
Correct.
But what about this? And so I appreciate when people are like, well, do you have any suggestions on language? Absolutely, I do.
Absolutely. Right.
Absolutely, I
right.
do.
Always have in your back pocket.
Yes, yes. It's always,
Yeah.
right there. So veto, lame duck, and then January rolls back around.
We start back all over again.
Do it
We
all
go
over
it all
again.
over again.
And it seems like it comes so quickly. Like,
does. It
literally, how is it already session is over when New Year's Eve was yesterday?
Right.
Like, I don't understand it. It was back in May. Somebody posted, how is it? And I shared it. It said, how can this be May when New Year's Eve was 2 weeks ago?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
it's just flying by.
Yeah.
But my father always told me, daughter, the older you get, the faster the years go by.
That's true.
And I
Yeah.
didn't believe it, because it took me forever to be 16. It took me forever to be 21. It took forever to graduate from college.
Right.
But listen,
Right.
when I had to start working and earning my keep,
Right. You felt it.
and
You
I
felt it.
started having kids, I'm
Right.
like, oh, my daddy was absolutely right. So
Right.
this time is spinning by. We'll look up. It'll be November.
So in August, I will start preparing my clients for January.
January.
So in December, the legislators that I work closely with, I will have various agendas in front of them in
Already.
December, and when they come back in January, we're ready to go.
Okay.
If you don't start early,
Locked
you will
and
get left
ready.
behind. You have to stay locked and ready to go.
Okay. So is there anything as we close? Well, first, let's be clear about how we can contact your firm and have you for all of our lobbying needs.
Okay. Well, I do have a website, Kevin Riggs Consulting Group, or you can email me at kriggs2001@yahoo.com. Or just wave me
Right.
down.
Hey, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I saw you on the podcast. I need your services.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I'm easily accessible. It's no problem.
You are and very approachable. So
Thank you.
we run in a lot of the same circles,
do.
even
We
outside
do.
of work. So
Yeah.
it's a Kappa function or AKA
Right.
function or whatever. And you are always so pleasant
Mm-hmm.
and so approachable. And I really appreciate that. That goes a long way.
Right, it does,
Whether
it
you're in
does.
the Capitol or whether what you say you're at the grocery store.
Exactly.
That goes a
exactly.
long way.
Right.
It really does. So is there anything that you want us to know as we close about legislation, voting, anything?
Well, in regards to legislation, I think I brought this up previously. Contact your local legislators. Stay in touch with them. Stay engaged with them. Ask them out. For a coffee party, a tea party, something in your community, and so forth. Establish a relationship with them. In regards to this legislative session, it's ending. This year's budget was $53.7 billion. There are a lot of projects in there across the state and especially for downstate that affect our area. So, once again, I bring it back to contact your legislator. Find out what was passed in your community. Make a list of it, and then, stay engaged, with your local legislator about that.
All excellent points. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
For joining us today. Like I said, we were like, oh, that would make for a wonderful episode to come on and
Right.
just let people know. Because again, we want people to be informed
Right.
and educated so they can make the best possible decisions
Exactly.
for themselves and their
Exactly.
children. So whether it's at the ballot box or whether it's calling up my senator and saying,
Right.
hey, can I stop by for a chat? Whatever it is, it starts with information and communication.
That's true. You have to
that's
stay
why
engaged.
we're here. Yes.
And that's the one variable in our community forever is that we stay engaged, we stay locked in, we have our personal relationships, whether they be through church, fraternity, sorority, whatever clubs that we're in. We always use that as a nucleus to talk, to stay locked in with each other, and to help each other as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Oh,
I
thank you as well.
appreciate you. Thank
Appreciate it.
you. And thank you for tuning in today to Pros in Politics Podcast, where we are polished and poised for greatness and impact. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and you'll join us again next week. But in the meantime, please like, love, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.